Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. So, we continue on in our 2024 trade deadline previews today with the Florida Panthers. So, another funny connection. Vegas obviously played Florida in the Stanley Cup Finals, which is the team that we made earlier. But regardless, you don't care about that. Anyways, so as of today, the Florida Panthers currently stand at a 32-15-4 record for 68 points, and they are second overall in the Atlantic Division as of right now. Now, just by looking at Florida and their current stance with their current team right now in the NHL, I'm going to say that it's probably going to be a quiet deadline for them, mainly because they have a pretty big offseason ahead, and they also don't have a lot of cap space either, or assets to move. It's probably going to be a very quiet deadline for the Panthers. They currently have $1.25 million in cap space, which is more than some teams, but still, it's not a lot when you think about it in the grand scheme of things. Especially, too, when we get into it in a little bit, they don't have a lot of assets to move. They really don't. They have pretty much no assets whatsoever that they can trade unless if they're trading young players or prospects, which even then, it's a pretty shallow pool. So, their current UFAs right now and the guys who are expiring at the end of the season, you've seen some of them. Multiple of them have been talked about over the course of this season. You got Sam Reinhart, Steve Lorentz, Kevin Stenlund, Ryan Lomberg, Brandon Montour, Gustav Forsling, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Dmitry Kulikov, Anthony Stolars, and Nick Cousins. So those are a very long list. Now, the only guys you're really worrying about are probably two of those couple, because the rest of them won't cost you as much. Two of them may cost you a lot. So Sam Reinhart's the biggest one, and that's why he's at the top of the list. He is having himself a career year, putting up really solid numbers in Florida. Has been a key reason as to why Florida has been so consistent and good for the past couple of stretches. So he's definitely going to get himself some money, and especially seeing, too, with the contract that William Nylander got in Toronto, he's not going to get that money, but definitely somewhere in that range for sure is what we expect. Steve Lorentz, solid depth player, could get some money, probably $1 million contract maybe at most. Kevin Stenlund as well, definitely an interesting guy there too. Lomberg, a solid fourth line forward. And then he got Brandon Montour. Montour's the other guy that I think could cost the Florida Panthers some money. A young defenseman. Not really young anymore, but still a very solid top four defenseman who is going to want a lot of money. I'm very sure of that. Forsling as well has been a great guy, great defenseman. Definitely could get some money. OEL may be signed to the same deal he got this year, or he's just going to get let go with the amount of cap that Florida has to handle. The advantage is, though, is that the cap is going to rise by about $4 to $5 million. So Florida has that at their favor. However, when you look at the overall money and guys they got to sign, it still isn't very ideal. You got Kulikov there, too. Kulikov's a journeyman, so it wouldn't surprise me if he leaves and goes somewhere else or retires. Who knows? And then you got Stolars. Not a bad backup goalie this season. And they got Nick Cousins, too, a physical forward who a lot of players do not like. A grit-type player, a fighter. Not a bad guy to have on your team for sure. So, yeah, a very hefty list there for the UFAs and the Florida Panthers. You got the RFAs then, which is Anton Lundell, John Gajovic, and Josh Mahura. The only one that I'm worried about there really is Anton Lundell. Lundell hasn't been the player we thought he was going to be. So maybe he either A, gets traded, or B, gets re-signed by Florida. We'll find out there what happens. But definitely not worried about the RFAs. It's the UFAs that you should be worried about. So, if you're Florida, what are your needs? What do you currently want? Well, I have this written for every single team. It's depth. You want depth on your team. No doubt about it. Florida probably needs it, but they're probably not going to get a whole lot of options out there to go for, mainly because they don't have a lot of assets. We'll get into that in a second, but that's their biggest thing that's holding them back from having a big deadline. And then obviously, too, I have this written down, maybe some more firepower. I don't see a whole lot of options out there for them, though, mainly because of, again, the assets. So, movable pieces that you have your 2026 first-round pick, which is conditional, and honestly, if I'm Florida, I wouldn't want to move that pick. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't want to move that pick, mainly because you don't have a draft pick in this year in the first round, or next year in the first round either. Unless if you see an offer that you get offered that you think to yourselves, well, this is a good enough deal and I think that we can go for a Stanley Cup run, then yeah, you should pull the trigger. But I don't think they're going to trade that first round pick unless they get some big player back that has term. That's the biggest thing. And then I have Lindell running down. This is just currently me speculating, nothing else there. I feel like there's a chance that maybe at some point the Panthers do decide to move on from Lindell. We saw it with a guy like Owen Tippett. Maybe Lindell is the next guy on that list that may get moved. That's just something that I think about there from time to time. Maybe Lindell's a guy that we may see get moved in the future. Apart from that, there isn't a whole lot to talk about with Florida. Again, they're a very uneventful team. Not uneventful per se, but they're not going to be very eventful this year at the deadline. They're likely going to stay pat, apart from some minor moves they may make. But regardless, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Hit that subscribe button down below. I greatly appreciate it. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.